I just got done working on this thing. Um, Friday drama, man. These are always the types of things that happen on a Friday, basically. Uh, so for about a week now, we've been having an issue with the international. Just a stupid issue is what it is. And so the driver, so the first day it happened, my driver was like, "Yo, the other driver said that my turn signal ain't working." I said, "Okay," you know, and so he was fueling, and I'm like, "Okay, well, turn the turn signal on." I go back, and it's working. Of course, it's working, right? You know, and I'm like, "Okay, well, looks like it's working to me." He's like, "That guy must have been pulling my leg," or he must have been trying to get one over on me or something. And so we had a good laugh about it. "What's up, twin truckers?" And so I'm like, okay, there's probably a wiring problem. So now we got this gremlin, that only pops up when he wants to. And so this whole past week, every time I go to look at the truck, it's working fine. It's perfect. As soon as he pulls out of my driveway, that left turn signal wasn't working. Every single time, he was saying. He's like, "Man, it would work like during the morning, and then halfway through the day, the left turn signal would stop." And I'm just like, this doesn't make any sense to me. Like, okay? Because I'm thinking, okay, if it's a short, it would blow the fuse, right? So I'm like, okay, it can't be a short, so it's got to be a wire that's it's losing connectivity somehow. So I'm like, okay, first step is look at the light itself, right? So I pulled the lights out, because I'll explain a little bit, but anyways, I pulled this light out and I'm inspecting all the wires and stuff, and I'm like, okay, they don't look damaged around the plug. I'm looking at everything. I'm looking at all these wires in here. Anyways, I looked at all of them over, and I'm like, they look fine. They're a little dirty, but none of them are wore through. None of them look broken. They look good. So then I'm like, okay, well, next step is to look where the wiring goes, right? And it goes right up there. And so I put that tape on there, that black tape. The connectors, amazing. Okay, so at this point, it was like Wednesday or Thursday. I'm not sure which day it was. Thursday, Wednesday, one of those days. And then I was like, okay, I look at everything, everything looks good, and it's working, so, and then next thing you know, he leaves, and then, stops working again. So I'm like, oh. These wiring issues, they are the ones that give you the biggest headache, right? Because no truck driver is an electrician, right? I mean, almost none. But I will say this, whether you not like electrical stuff or not, you better learn how to do it. You got to learn the diagnosis of electronics, which, in theory, it's super simple and easy. Like, you follow the wire, you follow the path of electricity, and somewhere there's a break. You just got to find it, right? So then, that is interesting. I just noticed that there's only two bolts holding this whole. I mean, it's an inspection cover, but there's only two holding it on. I'm just wondering, like a fresh brake. It's not rusted. That looks like a fresh brake. That's interesting. I wonder what would break those off. like a rock hitting that, maybe. That's weird. Or maybe they were over tightened and they just wore out. Anyways, all right. So I'm like, okay. So then he said, okay, so the whole week it was just the left turn signal. Then today he was like, oh, somebody said the right side wasn't working too. So I'm like, what the heck? Like, I was working out. Only the turn signals work. The running lights work great. It's only the turn signals, right? So I'm like, okay. So there's 2 signal wires that go to the lights. I'm thinking in my head. Okay, you got the right turn signal wire, and then you got the left turn signal wire, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, only the right side is not working, and then all of a sudden the left side decides it doesn't want to do. So I'm like, okay, this seems kind of weird. So, but I noted that in my head. I'm like, it stuck out to me. You know, it's one side that was not working, and then all of a sudden both sides weren't working. So what does that sound to you guys? Like, that almost sounded to me like a plug. You know, I wasn't 100% nailed it down, but to me it was like, okay, that might be a plug issue, right? So I come over here to the side of the dump truck, and we got all these wires just dangled everywhere. I got them all bundled up nice and neat now, so now they're not, you know, they're not rubbing on this, they're not rubbing, you know, on the bottom of the frame rail, you know, they're all nice, somewhat neat, you know. But somebody's done so many hack jobs on this section of wiring that it's a little tough to get it, you know, 100% neat. But anyways, it had a whole bunch of zip ties on it, old ones. I cut them all off. And then I told my wife, I said, go stand at the back of the truck and tell me when, you know, the light starts flickering or acting funky, right? And I went and turned the forward flashers on, and I started wiggling one wire, nothing. Started wiggling a second wire. She's like, oh, there it is. And so then we're trying to narrow it down, and then finally, I noticed, let's see if I can show you this plug right here. This is the one that we had the issue with. So if you notice this right here, this little keeper, see how it's bent upwards? Like it's been opened so many times, or it just slipped off. See how it's bent upwards? You can see it. I think you guys can see it. See, this one right here is all the way down, right? Even if this wire isn't up against it, it's all the way down. This one, if you look at it, see the keeper? See how it's already bent up? Well, this thing was working its way loose, and it had a gap about that big in between the plug. And I noticed because I was seeing the gasket with the lines, and I'm like, oh, that's probably it. And then so I started wiggling, and she's like, oh, that's it, you know. And so finally, I was thinking, okay, there's 2 options here. I can either shorten all this wire up, cut these 2 plugs out, and just crimp every single wire. Or I can zip tie these plugs so they're not going to open up. And so I decided to do that, because what happens is if you cut your wire, you know, and you crimp them all together and then it's shorter, then the next time you have an issue, then you run into short wire problems, and then you're trying to splice in a wire, you know, to make it fit. And that's kind of a pain. So I left them there, and what I did was I did 2 zip ties in between the wires. You can see there's a wire coming out right here, and there's a zip tie, and then there's a wire coming on the far end, and there's another zip tie right there to hold those plugs together. So just a, you know, easy, simple thing, you know. And then I also got this zip tie coming through the frame rail right here to hold these off of this torsion bar, because they were really rubbing right on that. You can see how shiny that is right there. And that's also an airline right there also. So I was like, let's get that off of that torsion rod. So, and that basically fixed it. Another thing I also did was I also turned off the lights, right? Or no, I unplugged the plugs, turned the lights on, and then I put this, this is a tester light, right? Put this on the frame rail, right where it's nice and shiny. You got a good ground there. And then I went and I unplugged the plugs, and then I probed each wire to figure out which wire was, flashing when the left turn signal was on, right? And which one was flashing with the right turn signal was on. Just so I could get an idea of which wire was which light. And so, one thing I did notice is the last person that owned this abandoned a few wires. Like, you can see that wire is cut. See that? Cut. They abandoned it. There's also another brown wire they abandoned. And you can see, this is what they did. They just ran 2 new wires from wherever. But they did do the same color, so I'm very impressed with that. The 2 wires that were, destroyed. See the green wire right here? This is the green wire. They replaced it with another green wire. And they just bypassed the 2 plugs that go in there. They also did the same with this brown wire. Because they had some sort of short earlier on. And so they just bypassed it. But hey, at least they used the same color. That really surprised me. So these test lights do come in handy for figuring out if you got voltage where you need it, So definitely love these things. At first I, wasn't a big fan of them because I didn't know how to use it. And then finally, after... Oh yeah. Yeah, thanks Doug for those wire ties. We got some use out of them today. I zip tied those 2 plugs together. And let me show you what else I did, Doug. Also a big shout out to Doug, Lightning Fabrication. I've been using these too. Every single one of these, I clipped it with this. These are, I'm not exactly, what are these called? End snips? I think they're called end snips. But the way this is designed, see how flat that is? When you cut them, it doesn't leave a sharp edge on it. So when you're, working in here, you don't get your arms all scraped up. So, the next time you're working on it. Yeah, flush cuts. They cut nice and flush with the head of the zip tie. So, I've been getting a good use out of those. You guys can see I've been keeping my shop pretty clean. Everything's still pretty organized, which is kind of like, I think that's a record for me, guys. I don't know. A lot of you guys are going to have to tell me if that's a record or not, but I'm pretty sure that's a record. Look at that. Look at all that grease. That's from a half an hour of diagnosing that truck. A half an hour. And now I already got to take a shower. That's part of the game right there. Wrench and the bolts. What's up? What's up, man? Yeah, Kevin, that's the International. It's been having a lighting problem all week. Finally figured it out. Every time the driver would roll in the yard and park it, not even parking it. Every time he would roll in the yard. Hey, what's up, Chad? Yeah, every time he would roll in the yard, the stupid thing would work. And I was just like, you cannot diagnose a wiring problem when everything works. Like, it's impossible to find, it's almost impossible to find. So I was starting to get upset because I'm like, okay, I know that it's not working because, the driver obviously wouldn't be bugging me if, it was working. So, okay, gotta fix this, finally fixed it though. Tell you what, that was a pain in the butt. Because basically, when it's working like that, you literally have to go through and start jiggling everything. You know, that's one of the ways to find it, is to start jiggling stuff. You know. Ooh, that actually, check this out. This plug is almost shot. You can see it's smashed right there. It got smashed pretty good. I don't know how that got smashed. See the insulation? Cracked. That's what I was looking for. But this is a reverse light though. So not that big of a deal. Still, now I know that's cracked. I'm gonna write that down. That way I can get a new plug set for this. Because I don't have any of these 3 plugs. Or these big wide plugs with 2 wires. This is actually a 3-way plug. Had a 3rd wire in here for something else. But it's just a backup light. Let's see. There's that. So that is not all the way in, folks. There we go. There you go. That's the way you want it. In there. Good. That way that thing never vibrates out. The biggest thing when you're doing these lights is you put the gasket on first. Make sure you put that gasket in there. Get it where it's supposed to be. It's kind of hard to do it one-handed. It's going to be the biggest pain. There we go. Alright. Hell no, I ain't polishing those wheels tonight, Joey. I'm about to spend some time with my kids. You can see them running around with their Nerf guns. It was Brian's birthday the other day. We got some Nerf guns. We got 2 radio-controlled Jeeps. We got, I got him some new boots. He's wearing his new boots right now. They're like muck boots. He loves them. He's like, these are just like Daddy's. Daddy, I got the same boots as you. He freaking loves it. He absolutely loves it. And I made sure I got him like one size bigger than what he needed, because we're going into summer and it's like, I want those to last more than 6 months. There we go. Yeah, those are really snug to push in. Always check out those wires every chance you get the chance. So, yeah, we had a good Friday. All 3 trucks worked today. 2 supers were hauling up north more, like Kent area. And I was hauling further south, Puyallup area. Alright, let's see if these lights work. And if they do, then I can set the box down. I'm pretty sure they work. If they don't, then I'm going to be a little upset. Does that ever happen to you guys, or is that just me? Like, you fix something and you think you fixed it, and then next thing you know, it's not really fixed? Alright. Forward flashers are on. Oh yeah, they're working. Beautiful. Beautiful. Very bright. Sweet. The other thing that was interesting was the lights on the strong arm worked. It was just the lights on the tailgate. Which was kind of interesting. Kind of helped me diagnose it, because I'm like, okay, well, it's not further up the line if, you know. one thing not too happy about this truck is it doesn't have some sort of safety brace. It would be nice if there was a safety brace on it, but there isn't. Just throw your multimeter everywhere, Brian. It's only 60 bucks if you break it. Louise. I went to pick it up and dropped it. Oh yeah. Yeah, that was I would have did a longer video with them, Joe, but my battery was running dead on my phone. Like, there was a lot more to talk about on those records that they had. You know, super cool. My grandpa is a very big inspiration to me. You know, very big inspiration. And I've learned, I will say, my biggest skill set for running my business, the troubleshooting and diagnosing skills, 90% of that comes from my grandpa. Yeah. Yeah. He's like, the first time I heard that story, I was like, you put it in low and just ran it up to 60? Like, what were you thinking? I was like, that doesn't sound like a good way to... He's like, yeah, I did it all the time. I'd burn out the carbon in the, you know. Oh, that cracked me up. The first time I heard that, I was like, that's crazy. But I guess he used to do it all the time, and then he's like, you know. And then one time I was just revving it up, and then bang! Looked in the rearview mirror and saw the oil slick, and I was like, well, that's that. That's what happens when you put a cheap timing chain in when you rebuild the motor. What amazed me is that was the only new vehicle my grandfather has ever bought in his entire life. It was that, I don't remember what year it was. I think it wasn't a 65, but it was a Pontiac. The Pontiac station wagon. That was the only vehicle he ever bought brand new, and he said he bought it because he wanted to see what his driving style, you know, how it affected a car, you know. And then he's like, once I got past 200,000, I had decided that I was a good driver, and my driving never affected the car, you know. And then, you know, at like 250 or something, I think it was 250, is when he rebuilt the motor, you know, did valves, did the rods and all that other stuff, and ended up driving it 70,000 more miles before he blew it, you know. But at that point, he was like happy that it blew because he had owned it for 17 years. Like, can you imagine driving one car? Sorry, guys. I just got a call from deliver some rock. I'm gonna go take that truck, honey. So, looks like we're gonna go give her a test drive. Sweet. I get to take the automatic out. Alright. Alright, move this out of the way. I don't run over my ladder. 600 bucks. Say 2 to 4 or 4 to 8. Dang it, I can't remember what he said now. I'm gonna have to call him back. Text him. Some cash for the rock. love that. They absolutely love it. Let's see, channel 12. Alright, guys. We are rocking and rolling. Whoa, second gear. That's the thing I love about this automatic, man. This thing, she don't beat around the bush. She gets up and goes. Pump this seat up a little. There we go. She's a squeaky one. Alright. Rocking and rolling. About to make us $400. $400 on one load. That's what I'm talking about right there. That's where it's at. I possibly got 2 more loads. Dang, that's a big rock chip. How did that happen? Dang it. I got a new rock chip on the window. Damn, that thing's big. That thing. Man, that's a big rock chip. Falling too close to somebody. Damn, that's a big one. That means yeehaw! This truck gets up and goes. Love it. See, that's what I'm talking about, guys. You go fix your truck. If you fix your truck ASAP, boom, work will happen. Work will happen. That's the way it goes. It's good for me to drive this truck too every once in a while because I get to, you know, see how she runs. See how she runs, see how she acts up, see how everything goes. So, Rob's gonna get in the truck on Monday and say, "Hey, you adjusted my seat." Yeah, man, I had to go do a load. Took my favorite truck out, the one that's making me cash. It's the truck that's making the cash. Alright guys, well I'm going to catch you later. I don't want to waste all my battery on my phone. I got very low battery. Does Rob have a charger in here? Yes, he does have a charger in here. Okay, now I'm not too worried. This is an Olympia load, but man, it's... When he said Olympia, I'm thinking, oh, right off I-5. No, it ain't off I-5. It's like way up. Got some rocks falling off the truck. You guys have a good weekend. Catch you later, Doug.